Yo, yo, yo! It's the simple truth. Okay. Well, you're introducing yourself. Tell everybody who you are.
I'm Scott West, the simple truth guru that you all have come to love and admire.
Yeah, and I'm Linda West, the wife.
And this is Pop-Up.
Is it Papa? We have Papa.
Yeah, Pop-Up, she's a mammal.
Today we're going to talk about the perfect food, nature's perfect food. And Scott's going to share with us a little bit about nature's perfect food. And first I want to start off to let you guys know that neither of us is a doctor.
That is correct, Armando.
You want to share who you are?
Yeah, well,
Stop it.
I've got probably about 58 years studying nutrition. As a matter of fact, I have a college degree in health and nutrition. And of course, I've been involved with some of the pioneers in this bizarre branch of nutrition. And today, we're going to talk about nature's perfect food, which is milk. Milk. And
It's so short here. Next time I'll get it a little bit closer.
yeah, well, she's sitting in that.
No, look at how short we are in this.
Oh. Well, here we are, and we're going to talk about nature's perfect food, which is an important deal.
Yeah.
And I know that I've used milk all through my bodybuilding career because it is nature's perfect food. And the reason why that is because it has all the nutrients necessary for new life. And of course, you can use this throughout your life too, and I have. And so mammals are the critters that produce milk. This is one right here, our little pup.
I'm a mammal.
And you're a mammal. So nature's perfect food is milk, and milk is produced by humans.
So that would explain why when a baby is born, it can subsist solely on mother's milk.
That's correct. In fact, they can.
I never thought about that.
Oh yeah, and you check it out. They can. You can breastfeed a youngster up to about 3 years, even up to 5 years of age.
Yes, some European countries, at least in the old days, they would breastfeed them up to 5 and 6 years old.
Yeah, there's no better nutrition. And as long as the mother is not doping it up or smoking or whatever like that, it is nature's perfect food.
And it's free.
And so we have all mammals do that.
Well, let me ask you a question before you go further. So if you're a young mother and you have a baby and you're feeding breast milk to your child, can they live on solely breast milk?
Yes.
For that many years?
Yes.
Okay, how do you make sure they get enough calories?
Well, if the baby starts showing skeletal bone, skeleton,
Give them more boob.
they're not. You better get them up there and feed them a little more often. That probably won't happen. Of course, if the baby's starting to get really big, then they're overfeeding. So, I mean, this is something that you can look at and tell where you're at. I do the same thing with these dogs. You can see that they're in perfect shape, or she is anyhow, because I don't overfeed them. I weigh everything that they eat, and I watch them very carefully. So a mother would do the same thing. If the baby's getting too fat, then, less feeding. Too skinny, more feeding. And as long as the baby is feeding, milk will be produced in all these mammals. All right, now here's the point, though. This is nature's perfect food. But what has happened in modern days is that we've taken nature's perfect food and we've damaged it. Now this happened with Louis Pasteur, a French scientist back in the late 1800s, when he decided and discovered, and rightly so at that point, that people were getting sick from raw milk. Raw milk is the milk that comes out of the female without any tampering. You're not heating it up. You're not straining it through a strainer or doing anything like you're not changing it in any way. Well, people started getting sick from drinking milk, and so Pasteur came up.
Cow's milk, though.
Well, cow's milk, especially what it was is.
Referred to a woman and a baby.
But yeah, good. Humans on these farms were eating all these organic foods because they produced them on their own ground. when when civilization started to really get going, people started living in towns and cities. Then farmers began taking their milk and shipping
Take
it
it out of the cow, put it in a container, and ship it.
and going to town with it. Okay, and during that time, that transport time, milk started to get rotten, started to spoil. Now the bad bacteria in all of our foods started to take over, and by the time the milk got to the cities, it wasn't in very good shape. People drinking that started getting sick. So Louis Pasteur
Well, I'm
decided.
going to stop right there, though, because you mentioned the bad bacteria in all of our foods. So there's good bacteria and there's bad bacteria in foods. And is there bad bacteria in all foods?
Most foods, there's germs everywhere. We eat them every day. They're on our food, and the reason why there's a balance between good and evil. We have good bacteria in our intestinal tract that takes care of, normally, if we're healthy, takes care of the bad bacteria.
Okay.
Anyhow, when milk got to town, the bad bacteria was so huge that the good stuff in it was destroyed and made people sick. So Louis Pasteur figures out, and rightly so, I'll give him credit for that milk was making people sick. And so he decided that pasteurization, which is the heating up of milk almost to the boiling point, was necessary to kill all this bad bacteria. But what it also did was kill all the remaining good bacteria. So what you actually had in the end of that process was a dead food. Because the sterilization method, which is heat, that's God's sterilization process. Fire kills everything. Heat kills everything. We boil water to kill all the germs in it, and so forth and so on. So after we pasteurized milk, it was basically a dead food. The good bacteria was gone, the bad bacteria was gone, but the catalysts were gone, the enzymes were gone. So what you had basically was a dead food. Now, you drink.
When you heat it up, you don't kill just the bad bacteria, you kill
Everything.
Everything.
You kill everything that's good in it. So it becomes what we call a dead food.
Okay.
And so you drink that, yes, you get the protein, you get the calories, but that's about it. Now, I like to point out right
So you
now,
still get protein.
you still get protein.
And of course, you still get calories.
Yeah.
Well, what about, okay, you're going to
Go
talk
ahead.
about that. So what, like the difference of whole milk, 2% milk, fat-free milk,
Yeah,
non-fat milk?
yeah, okay, so
Low fat.
we can touch on that right now. Now, remember I said before that mother's milk, or nature's perfect food, comes out of the source completely untouched. Look here, it's a complete food. It's what they call a whole food. Now, when you start separating the constituents of anything, you get less than the whole. And this means that when you take the fat out of whole milk, you have something that's not complete. And believe me, that changes it. You skim milk, low-fat milk, it's not the real deal. So therefore, it's not going to operate as good, or maybe not as good at all in the body.
Okay, so once the milk comes out, and it's whole, and then they take some fats out of it to make it no longer whole.
Right.
Correct? And so when they are making it no longer whole, they're taking out the whole, the food that's complete. They're making it incomplete.
Yeah, non-fat milk and low-fat milk is they're reducing the fat by straining it through a microscopic strainer, and they're removing fat molecules. And they've got it scientifically figured out where low-fat milk is 2%. Non-fat milk is no fat. It looks like pale dishwater is what it looks like. Almost not those nutrients, believe it or not, fat, whatever. They're important to make the food work properly in the body. Anyhow, Louis Pasteur decided that we had to boil milk or heat it up and kill everything in there, and then it was safe to drink. And it was safe to drink, but it was an incomplete food and basically a dead food, meaning that it wasn't going to work as well in the body. Later, scientists found out that heating milk and changing its constituents like that actually was doing damage to the body. For example, homogenization was the next thing that they decided was important, and that was to make milk mixed up so thoroughly that the cream wouldn't separate. When milk comes out of the source naturally, the cream is heavier and it rises to the top. And so you have to shake it, to get it to mix up a little bit. But somebody figured out we're going to homogenize this milk and make it so that people don't have to shake it. The fat and the cream will not separate. Well, that was a mistake too, because we found out that homogenization then changed the size of the fat molecules such that they stayed mixed. Some researchers did some studies on that and found that children who had been killed by accident or whatever, died, crib death or whatever, did autopsies on these children, found out they had beginning stages of heart disease and arteriosclerosis, and they pegged it. What else could it be? Was milk that we buy from the store, milk that we don't get from our mom or whatever. And a huge light bulb went off. Wow. So what we have is not only a dead food, but we have something that's actually dangerous. Pasteurization and homogenization ruins nature's perfect food. Now, when you go to Albertsons or any of these other places, that's what you're getting in the store. Pasteurized, homogenized milk. And you're going to get the protein, but you're going to get calories too. And basically, it's just not good. So the point I'm trying to make here is nature's perfect food needs to stay natural, needs to stay in its pure natural form and no tampering with it whatsoever. Now you do this, we call it raw milk. It comes out, it's uncooked, unheated, and it's unpasteurized, unhomogenized, and this makes the food a perfect food, nature's perfect food. We can drink this all of our life. A lot of sources are telling us that we shouldn't be drinking milk as adults because it has no benefit.
Okay.
But actually it does. Because if
you're drinking raw milk.
If you're drinking raw milk. Where can you get raw milk? Well, you can get it directly out of the mother. Or you can get it directly out of the goat or the cow or...
The chicken? Oh, wait, not chicken.
No, the chicken's not a mammal. Or any other mammal, whale or whatever.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, sure. Which is a little unrealistic, but you see what I'm saying. Now, you can buy this raw milk in some places. I get mine at Trader Joe's. And you won't taste any different.
You do have to mix it up.
You have to shake it up.
It does rise to the top.
Yep, and what have you. But in that form, it is still nature's perfect food. You can drink it all your life. Now, just a little note. I drank, in my bodybuilding career, for about a year, I drank 2 gallons of this raw milk per day.
Whole milk.
Whole milk, raw. And this is back when dairies around town, we had a lot of dairies in this town a long time ago. I used to go down to Golden Arrow, which was in town here, Chula Vista, and buy 2 gallons a day.
You probably thought you were nuts.
And they had this thing.
You are nuts.
You can't hardly find it anymore, but if you're going to drink milk, I recommend that you tap into the benefits of nature's perfect food, which is raw milk. Raw cow's milk is what we use. I used raw goat's milk, which is a little weird. It tastes a little different, but it's the best raw milk you can get. In fact, we have had children, babies, who have had trouble even with mother's milk. We won't go into that right now, but and they have put them on raw goat milks, and they flourished. Raw goat milk is a great baby food.
Well, first, so raw milk, you'll see it on the carton or the container. It actually says raw milk. If it doesn't say raw milk, then it's not raw milk.
You'll find some milk that organic.
Organic, yeah.
Organic milk. Well, that's not raw. That means cows have eaten nothing but grass. They haven't had antibiotics and things like that, and that's a good start. And if you chose not to, raw milk's expensive when you can find it. It's about $8 a half gallon. It's expensive. But if you're going to drink store-bought milk, if you go organic, at least it's a little better. But still, it's not a natural food. Calories and protein, great, but there is no other benefit. Oh, some people have asked me about calcium. Calcium in pasteurized, homogenized milk is very hard to assimilate because it doesn't have the catalysts and the enzymes that go with it. Remember, they're dead from the pasteurization process. So, little benefit from drinking pasteurized, homogenized milk. All right, that's it. Nature's Perfect Food. Check it out. Think about it.
Well, there was something you just said there about. So we're talking about the raw milk, and shoot, I wish I could remember what you said there. Never mind. What was it? Pasteurized, the homogenized. Okay, well, you can get raw milk in the health food stores. Not all health food stores.
No, Trader Joe's is the only place I know of it now.
We're here in San Diego, so if you're not here in San Diego, you might not have a Trader Joe's. So you might need to find another store that has it.
Jimbo's used to have it, and there's one in Ocean Beach that has it too.
I don't know if they're nationwide.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's hard to say, but yeah, raw milk. So it is very specific. You want to make sure that it says raw milk on the container, because if it doesn't, it's not raw milk.
Right.
And it does taste exactly the same. I am not a milk drinker. I have never liked milk, and drinking raw milk tastes just as bad as regular milk. I just don't like it. Shoot, I can't remember what it was I was going to say, but that's okay because it's not important.
Well, questions and comments
below. Yeah.
Below, you can, if you want to get some more clarification on this, it's something that I do like to talk about, and so feel free to comment or ask questions.
Question regarding, because you said there's protein and fats in non-raw milk, so pasteurized, homogenized milk, or what have you. Is the protein still good?
Yeah, it's still there. You can get the protein, but in non-fat milk there actually is some fat. They just can't get it all out, but they consider it non-fat because the amount of fat in there is so little. It's basically non-fat, no fat at all. Oh, and by the way, whole milk is not 4%. It's 50%.
50% fat?
Whole milk is 50% fat.
Then how come when it separates it doesn't get 50-50?
Well, it actually is. You just don't notice it.
Oh, because it's still dispersed. It's just
yeah,
the cream
it's so...
Only the thickest part has... What's the cream?
Well, the cream is... let's see, how can I explain that?
It's a separation of something.
Yeah, when you get some raw milk, the cream on the top is out of a quart. It might be that big. That is when that's shaken up and thoroughly mixed, but not homogenized. That makes that glug of milk 50% fat, because the rest of the liquid is very thin. Believe it or not, it's something that's hard to explain. Whole milk is 50% fat, 40 to 50% fat.
But it's good fat.
Yeah, because it's part of the whole food.
It's whole.
Yeah. Now, non-fat milk, low-fat milk, it's not 3%. It's about 25%.
But that's not good fat because it's...
Well, they've strained it through a microscopic strainer. Instead of 5 minutes to get all the fat out, they only did it 2.5 minutes to get half the fat out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's still not good, right? It's now not a whole food.
It's not balanced.
Right.
See, that's the thing about nature. Everything is in perfect harmony and balance. If you look at a mother who has a brand new child, that mother's milk or that camel's milk or that goat milk, nature has made sure that that's perfectly balanced the way it is. You start messing with that thing in any way, you're changing the benefit. In fact, if you change it too much, or in my opinion, maybe at all, it becomes not only less beneficial, but maybe actually harmful. And this is what they have found out when milk became homogenized. They started seeing youngsters with beginning stages of arterial sclerosis. Yeah.
Yeah.
At age 2 and 3.
And I think that's so. I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's the simple truth, and the simple truth is that it makes perfect sense. How can a baby subsist on only milk if milk was not the perfect food?
Right. Well,
it makes perfect sense. I mean, it boils down to that.
That's, we in our modern society, we fail many times to look at the obvious. We are so taken up with technology and this and that. Some of the things that are just completely obvious escapes our attention. And that's the point right there. Nature's perfect food. That's how we start out. Mammals, that is. There's other animals that do other things, but we're talking about mammals, which we are. Mother's milk, a goat mother, a whale mother, a human mother, produce the perfect food for an infant. They can go up to 3 to 5 years like that with nothing else, and they're going to be perfectly healthy, as long as the mother's healthy. Okay?
Right.
She can't be smoking cigars or anything like that. All that stuff gets passed on to the baby.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, well, there you have it. Perfect
food. Yeah, nature's perfect food, raw milk.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay here for next week. Tune in next week as we talk about we don't know what.
Yeah, it'll be something good, though.
Okay, you guys.
It'll be something good. All right, Pup, say goodbye.
Get your milk.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.